guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been like a very long time since the last time I uploaded something, and the last time I uploaded something I said I was gonna continue uploading, and then I didn't. So I am gonna tell you where the heck I've been. So right now it is Thursday, I believe. I'm not really sure what day it is because I've been home. As some of you know, I had my baby. If you guys saw my About Me video, I talked about a little bit on there about how I was pregnant at that time. And now my baby is born, so that's why I have not been around. But right now it is very early in the morning. It is about 7:30 in the morning. I've been up since like 5 because she woke up early today. And I fed her and then she went back to a nap. So I just decided to sit down and make a video as I sit here and enjoy my little drink. It's cold outside now, so last time we were talking I think it was still like summer and hot out, and now it's just super cold and it's not fun. But I like snow, so I like seeing that. But yes, so let's get into a little update about everything. So let's talk about my baby. Alright, so she was actually born 3 weeks early, so she was born at 37 weeks, and it was like the most random, unexpected thing ever. I was sitting at home like around 7 o'clock. I had just finished eating and I was in bed, and out of nowhere I just felt like my water had broke. So I was like, okay, I'm not sure if this is what it feels like when your water breaks. So I had called my mom and I was like, what does it feel like when your water breaks? And she's like, it just feels like it keeps leaking and leaking. And I was like, okay. So then it had stopped and I was like, okay, maybe it was just like a false alarm. But then again it started happening and I was like, oh my gosh, I think this is my water breaking. And I freaked out just a little bit, but then I was like, it's cool, like it's fine. I actually felt like I was pretty calm throughout the whole thing. By the way, excuse this, I have done absolutely nothing to my face. As you can tell, I have a little friend here. Yeah, it's been really hard to just get ready and do things for myself. But yes, so that's what happened, and I had called my mom and she's like, you should go to the hospital. And I was like, okay. So we went to the hospital, picked up my mom, and okay, I picked up my mom, then went to the hospital. And luckily we had our bags pretty much packed because I had wanted everything to pretty much be ready in case the baby did come early, because I always said she would come early, but not like 3 weeks early, just maybe like a couple days early. But she was super early. And yeah, so we had our bags ready. Luckily we were just missing like a couple things that we had to put in there, and I can show you guys what I put in my bag later if I remember and everything that has helped me through all of it. But honestly, I didn't really use majority of the stuff that I brought. They give you so much stuff at the hospital that it doesn't matter if you forget something like for yourself, because you know the hospital has a lot of options for you. But yes, so we got to the hospital and I had a call on the way telling them like, I think my water broke, like we're coming in. And the lady on the phone was kind of like, okay. And I was just like, okay. So we get there and they take me to the room, and like at this point like my water just like kept gushing out, and it was like in the movies where it just like bursts out, and I was like, oh my god, this is what happens in the movies. Like that's what I expected when it first started to like come out and stuff, and I was like, this is real. So they hooked me up to like the heart monitor to monitor the baby, and they checked to see if it was actually like the fluid that it was supposed to be. Sorry, I can't talk because I haven't really talked this much. But anyway, so yeah, so they checked and they're like, yeah, like this is like your water broke. And they checked how much dilated I was. Like at this point I wasn't really having much contractions. They honestly started kind of on the way to the hospital. I started feeling contractions and they weren't terrible. It just felt like period cramps, which wasn't like very painful. And anyways, back to the hospital. I'm gonna like skip back and forth because I can't tell a story straight. But anyway, yes, so We're at the hospital and they checked to see how far I was dilated, or if I was even dilated at all. And I was only 1 centimeter dilated, and I was like, what the heck? That means I have 9 more to go. And she was like, don't worry, at least you're not starting at 0. And I was like, that's very true. But I guess because how my water had broke, they kind of needed to speed up the process, just because I forgot what they said. Like, everything just kind of happened so fast. But they kind of needed to speed up the process if my body wasn't making the contractions and going into labor quicker, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, so basically this was like around 9 o'clock at night. And they moved me into the delivery room around 9:30ish, I believe. So this was like 30 minutes in between. And they came in and they said, okay, if your body doesn't start doing this, we're gonna have to provoke the contractions. So they said you have till 10 o'clock. Like, the doctor wanted me to start doing it at 10 o'clock. So then the nurse comes in and she's like explaining to me how they want to provoke the contractions and stuff. And she's like, well, you really don't have much time, because it was like 9:45 at this time. And I had 15 minutes and nothing was really happening. I just had like the normal contractions I was feeling. So they started, they put that medication into the IV or whatever to like make the contractions happen. And at first I was fine. Let me tell you, it was fine. I was okay. And I always went in saying, I don't want an epidural. I want to do it all natural. And yeah, so I kept like telling myself it's fine. I was breathing through it. I had seen like some videos about how to breathe through contractions and stuff. Let me tell you, I was not prepared at all. And at the same time, like, your water is still gushing out, so I just felt so disgusting. And I was just like, oh, like, when is this gonna stop gushing out? And my mom was like, it's not gonna stop, it's gonna keep going till like you're done delivering. And I was like, oh, I just felt so gross. And like, I just kept having to go pee and stuff, and changing my pad all the time, because I did not want to feel like I was soaked. And it was just gross. Sorry if it's too much information, but yes. So then they came in and they started provoking the contractions, like I said, and it was fine at first, you know. So I went about a couple hours that I was okay, and then they started getting so bad to the point where I was just like, I don't know if I can handle this, because they were happening maybe every 2 minutes. And this wasn't me going into like, oh, like I have to push because I was dilated. No, it was just because the contractions were being provoked. So they were happening so quick and so strong. And like, I kept trying to fight through it. I was sitting on the medicine ball and everything, trying to move around, you know, wiggle around to help it. And at one point I went to walk around the hospital, because I had read like if you just sit on your bed or lay on your bed, like, it makes it worse, and it's better to walk around, stand up, and all that stuff. So that's what I wanted to do. And I know whenever I lay down, my back hurts, so I was like, okay, I have to like get up, move around. And I decided to lay down for some reason. I think it was because I wanted to take a nap, and then that's when it started to get really, really bad. And like, my body was like shaking like crazy, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it. We went around to walk around and came back, and I was just like sitting there, like I couldn't even stand up anymore, because that's how bad my contractions had gotten. And in my mind I was still like, I can do this, like so many people do it and they all like push through it and stuff. And I was like, I know I can do it. Like, I kept preparing myself mentally. And now it came to a point where I was like, I don't feel comfortable going through with this. And they had told me I could get the epidural up to any time that I wanted, pretty much, as long as I was comfortable and wasn't gonna be shaking so much that they couldn't put it in, just because you have to stay still. And I was like, okay. So it came to the point where I was like, my body was shaking, and I was like, I need the epidural. And I went 5 hours trying to push through, and finally I broke in, or gave in, and I was like, okay, I want to get the epidural. So I called the nurse over, And she's like, okay. And like at this point, I was like in so much pain. Like it was so bad. I was just like about to cry. And I didn't cry, but I was about to cry. But I was in so much pain from it. And then, yeah, so the nurse came in and she's like, okay, so somebody else just buzzed saying that they wanted an epidural. So I was after them. So I was like, no, like I need it now. And then they're like, yeah, we have to call the doctor, all that stuff. And I literally, she said it would take like 20 minutes, and it felt like it took forever for her to come back and the doctor to come back. And I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, so at this point, I was just trying to fight through the contractions until she came back with the epidural. And they finally came in. I don't even know what time it was anymore. I know it was like late or early in the morning. No idea. Have no clue. But yeah, so they came back and they administered the epidural. And let me tell you, it hurt. But it didn't hurt as much as the contractions were hurting. So I was okay with that. And it takes like a couple minutes for it to actually kick in. So I was fighting through the contractions and fighting through the pain of the needle going into my back. But the nurse I had was very nice, and she was very like supportive, and she was like, you're doing so good, just breathe, like hold that in, like don't shake, because I was trying so hard not to shake because my body was just like shaking and trembling, and it was so bad. I keep touching my hair, I'm sorry. Anyways, so yeah, so they finally did the epidural, and then however much time passed by that it finally kicked in, I felt nothing. And I was like, oh my god, like I can be here for hours. And they give you like the little button to keep pushing it in case you need to administer more, like every 20 minutes or so. And honestly, I didn't even have to push that. Maybe I pushed it like 3 times. And that was like later in the day, just because I felt it like kind of wearing off a little. I don't know if it really does wear off, but like I did not feel anything, and it was great. I was like, why didn't I do this sooner? But I'm glad I pushed through like those 5 hours with contractions. I honestly feel like if they weren't being like can't think of the word, hold on, if they weren't being provoked, like the contractions, I feel like it would have been a little easier, just because I've heard that once they're being provoked that it's a lot harder and they're more painful than like normal contractions. But I mean, I guess I won't know unless I have another baby, but that's not in the picture at the moment. But yeah, so that's what happened. And then I don't even know, at the time they did the epidural, I was about 4 to 5 centimeters dilated, so it was like a very slow progress. So this was like 5 hours since they had administered the medication, so I was dilating very quickly, or very slowly, sorry. So yeah, and then I went through the night pretty much at the hospital, just waiting and waiting to dilate. And they kept trying to move me in different positions, so I was like, to see if it would help speed it up. Oh, that's Simba. He hears people walking. He doesn't like people walking by. But anyways, so yeah, where was I? Dang it. I can't remember. Oh yeah, so it kept trying to move me to different positions to see if it would speed up the, like my body dilating or whatever. And let me tell you, this baby girl did not like any positions that they would put me in. The only position I could be in that she was okay with was me sitting. So I was like sitting on the bed, which was fine because I wasn't feeling contractions, and it was actually more comfortable for me. So I was like pretty much sitting the whole time, and anytime they would try to move me, she would not like it. She was not having it. And I was like, okay, like it's fine, like I'll sit through this whole thing. And they had to put me on oxygen just because every time I would have a contraction, her heartbeat would drop. So I was on oxygen, and they tried to move positions again to see if that would help her oxygen dropping during contractions, and she just wasn't having it. So I had to stay sitting, and that was the best thing for her. And when I received the oxygen, it actually helped her as well. But I don't know what just happened. Anyways, so yeah, and yeah, so we went into that. So I had oxygen, went through the night. I kept dozing off, sleeping on and off, and probably like around 9 in the morning, I believe, that's when they came in and they're like, oh, you're at like 9.5. So I had half a centimeter left. And I was like, okay. So probably like around 10 o'clock in the morning, that's when I was like, okay, like I'm starting to feel pressure. Because they told me whenever you feel pressure, that's good. That means you're like the baby's a lot lower and like you should be getting ready to pretty much push. And I started feeling it like the whole time that I was like in labor. I didn't feel anything because of the epidural, so it was really nice that I was super comfortable. Honestly, if I hadn't gotten it, I probably would have been completely miserable, but this really helped me, and I was really glad that at the end I chose to do it. But anyways, back to 10 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, so it was like 10 a.m. in the morning, and they came to check back in because I pushed the button and I was like, I feel pressure, like a lot of pressure. And she came to check and she's like, oh yeah, like you're fully dilated. So we had to go get a doctor and he should be in. And yeah, so it took him a couple minutes to get here, maybe like 10 minutes because he wasn't in the hospital, like in the office yet. So yeah, so they went to go get him and then they got me ready to start pushing and stuff. And like it didn't hurt because I was numb, but I just felt pressure. That's how I knew that I had to push, because I would feel like that intense pressure. And the nurse girl that was with me, gosh, I'm terrible, but the nurse that was with me, she was like telling me how to push. She explained to me how to do it all, and I was like, okay, that's fine, like I could do it. And at this point, like I felt like I was ready to push already, and I was pushing. Maybe I pushed like a couple times. Like I didn't push for very long. I think it was like a total, she said, about 40 minutes or so. So I didn't have to push for very long, and it felt like I was there forever, but I guess it wasn't that long to them. And she would put like her finger kind of like where I would have to push, so that really helped me because I would focus on that point and I would just push towards that point. And honestly, if it weren't for that, I feel like I would have been like, I don't know what to do. But that really helped. And my fiance Christian, he was in the room, and my mom was in the room. And yeah, so they were the only two in the room because you were only allowed 2 people, which I'm really glad, because I honestly wouldn't have wanted everybody watching me push. Not that, I don't know, I just wouldn't want everybody there. But I was okay with them to being there, especially because my mom had been through this, and she thought she wouldn't cry, and she started crying, and I saw her crying, and like while I was pushing, and I saw her and I felt like crying, and like I felt like so weak at that moment, and I was like, no, like I cannot cry. So I like blocked it out and I closed my eyes to focus on pushing. And because if I started crying, I wasn't gonna be able to push. I was just gonna start crying and just bawl out and not be able to do it. But yeah, so that happened, and then I pushed, and out of nowhere, I don't know what happened. Obviously I pushed the baby out, but she was right here with me, and I was like, oh my god, like this is my baby. Like I was like, hello baby, you know, like I don't know how to explain it, but it was just like the best feeling ever having her here. And it just happened so fast, I feel like pushing wise, and like she was just here out of nowhere. They kept saying, oh, she's getting closer, like, oh, you're doing good. And out of nowhere she was just here, and I was like, oh my god, like this is my baby, you know, like she's right here. And it was like the best feeling ever, and it was just wonderful. All that, those 5 hours of painful contractions were worth it. And then yeah, it was just the most amazing feeling ever, just having her here. And she was the tiniest little baby ever. She was only 5'2" when she was born. She was 5'2", 19 inches long. So she was a tiny little baby. I will insert pictures on here so you guys can see. what she looked like when she was born, but she was so tiny, and she came out with her eyes open and just looking at me, and I was like, oh my god. And like the best thing ever was my fiance was right next to me, and he started talking to her, and it's like she knew exactly who he was, because she turned her head over to him and just like stared at him, and it was like the greatest thing ever. And I know he loved that moment. Like that was like the best moment ever to me, like that she recognized like who we were and stuff. Like, yeah, like they always say like they know who you are because you're talking to them in your womb and stuff and all that, but I don't know, it was just like the greatest feeling ever. But yeah, and then she was finally here. This was, by the way, September 16th that she was born on. It's actually my brother's birthday, so we went in that Sunday, the 15th. I was like, well, looks like you're gonna have a birthday twin. Oh my god, I cannot talk, Jesus. I was like, you're gonna have a birthday twin. So she came in on the 16th of September at 11:06. She was born, and yeah, that's the story of my baby. But yeah, basically she's gonna be 2 months old now. She's 7 weeks now. She'll be 8 weeks on Monday. I hate how like the weeks are off compared to the days, but yeah, she'll be 2 months old next week. Like, how crazy is that? So we thought she had colic, which I was freaking out about, because out of nowhere she just started crying and crying, and I was like, you're a good baby, why are you crying? But babies cry, of course. And I don't think she had colic, to be honest. I think she was just overtired, because she went maybe like 2 weeks fighting her naps. Like, she would force herself to stay awake, and she was just so tired, and she wouldn't sleep because she was just so tired. Like, you would think like you would fall asleep because you're tired, but nope, not this girl. She was like, I'm not falling asleep now. And yeah, so she was fighting her sleep, and she would stay up, and like she would cry because she was so tired. And like, I did change like the formula we were giving her, and I changed her bottles just to make sure, just in case. And like, I would massage her tummy, and I tried a couple things and stuff. But then as soon as she started napping again, she stopped crying. So I don't feel like she had colic at all. I don't know what else to talk about. I could do a video later on about like postpartum, because honestly I feel like that was the hardest thing for me. It's a lot harder than being pregnant and giving birth. It was such a pain in the butt, because like you honestly can't do anything about it. You just kind of have to let your body heal itself. And I mean, now I am almost 8 weeks postpartum, so obviously it's a lot easier, but like your body just does not feel the same. Let's just put it that way. But I could do a whole different video, because this video is already long enough. And yeah, but I am going to start making videos again, because I am going to be home taking care of my baby, which I am so grateful for, that I get to take care of her, be home with her. And yeah, so I'm taking like the whole year off work to be with her. And yeah, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, if you guys have questions or want to know something, I know I probably missed a lot of things and none of this makes any sense at all, but let me know. And if you guys want to see the postpartum video, or like me talking about it, or whatever you guys want to see, I will show you guys a video of her later on. Right now she's napping, and I'm glad she's napping, because I got to clean the house, and I got a little tiny workout in this morning, my first workout. And I got to film this video because I'm not having to hold her and stuff. But yeah, so I'll put some pictures of her in the video, and maybe some video clips that I have of her. I actually don't feel like I have a lot of video of her, don't know why, but yeah, so I'll show you guys what she looks like. But she's like the most adorable little thing. Oh, by the way, her name's Adeline. I don't think I mentioned that, but I will do a video introducing you guys to her. She's a little sassy, dramatic little girl, and I love her so much. She's like literally my everything. But yeah, so I am going to end this here now before I keep talking. By the way, that's her Christmas tree right there. We just got it yesterday, and that's why I was cleaning up today, because I was like, we're gonna put the Christmas tree, we gotta clean up. So we're gonna start setting it up today, and I'm so excited. I love Christmas. But yeah, and gotta change these pillows out because these are very fallish, even though technically it's still fall. But every time after Halloween, it's Christmas to me. It's cool. Like, I don't mind it. I don't mind Christmas spirit. I love it. So yeah. But anyway, so that is that. And for those of you that stuck through the end of this video, thank you so much. And I will be making videos. Promise I will. I'm not exactly sure how often I'll upload, but I'll try to upload at least once a week, just because everything is pretty hectic still and all that. And yeah, let me know what kind of videos you guys want to see and stuff like that. But yeah, before I keep talking and talking, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Okay, so she's waking up from her nap. Look at my precious baby. Hi, sweet girl. Hi. This is Adeline. Say hello, Adeline. Be like, hi, everyone. But this is my baby girl, waking up from her nap. Look how cute she looks. She's so big already. Oh, hi, sweet girl. Hi, beautiful. Are you stretching? Yeah? Stretch them, girl. You stretch them. Yeah, go ahead and stretch. But this is my baby. Isn't she so cute? She's just hanging out here. I think she just woke up. Hi, baby. Hi, sweet girl. Say hi. Hi, everyone. Hello. Hey, cutie. Oh my gosh. Look at you stretch. Look at you stretch, baby. Look at you stretch. Yeah. You're so cute, baby. You're the cutest baby. By the way, her middle name is Luna. So I got her these PJs because they have a moon. So cute. But yeah, this is her. Oh, there's a smile, my baby. Yeah. Alright. Say bye. Say bye, everyone. I gotta go get my diaper change. Bye, everyone.